I love guys finishing on my face. It's one of my favorite things. It's like a fetish of mine. I think
Okay.
it's so sexy just to kind of like be on my knees and like looking up, and I am the reason why you are, orgasming the way that you
Yeah.
are.
Welcome back to another episode of Butch Queen After Dark. I'm your host, David Brandyn, and this is the podcast where we heal through sex without shame. And we know what it really means to feel at home in your body as a queer person of color. Tonight's guest lives right at that intersection. He's a community builder, a coach, a healer. He walks realness with a twist in the ballroom scene. And as a nudist, you can often see his beautiful bare ass on the internet. Please welcome Joshua Michael Cruz.
Hello,
Hi.
thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you. How have you been?
I have been good. I just came back from vacation in Puerto Rico with my partner. My family's from
Aha.
there. So I visited for about 2 weeks and it was great. Was there for Christmas and New Year's. And now I'm back home in New York City, getting back into the flow of things, but I feel good.
Okay, I love that. I love that little island vacation during the winter holiday. That's what we all deserve. I really, really love that. Okay, cool. So I like to start with some icebreaker questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What was your sexual awakening? And you can answer that in like your first one, your last one, your second one, however you want to answer.
Okay, well, I would actually say that my sexual awakening has been recent, actually,
Hmm.
within the last like year and a half to 2 years.
Okay.
One moment, I guess, that really shaped that awakening for me was my time in Barcelona last year. Actually, I went to a sex club for the first time in my life.
Okay.
Always been petrified of those types of environments. I never thought I
Mm.
would go into like a dark room or a sex club, but I've been on this journey with my sexual exploration, with my sexual liberation, with sex positivity. And I had just gotten out of a relationship not too long before that trip.
Mm.
And I was like in this place of wanting to free myself from these chains that I felt were holding me back in terms of being who I truly am,
That's right.
and just feeling, good about myself. And so went to Barcelona, heard about some sex clubs, and I went and I tried it out, and I was like, wow, this was actually really, really empowering, but also hot and sexy and amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so that's great. And we're gonna get a little deeper into the story because we gotta know what happened. So
Okay.
you show up at the sex club, you walk in, what happens next? Like what's going on?
Woo, okay, so I was nervous as hell. I didn't know what to do, what to expect. I read like reviews about it, like what do you do in a sex club? What do
Okay.
you do when you first get there? But I was trying not to overthink it. So I was like, when I get there, do I take off all my clothes at first? And they give you like instructions, like I think where in the
Hmm.
reviews or on the website. And so I wore these see-through mesh underwear when I went in there, and a harness, shoulder harness, and some cute sneakers or whatever. And I walk in, I take off all my clothes, hand it to the dressing room guy, and then I walk into the bar. And this particular club, think it's called Berlin. I think it's something
Okay.
like that. It's like Sex Club Berlin or something like that in Barcelona.
In Barcelona. Okay.
Yeah, I walk into the bar, and it's not a big place. You go in, there's a bar on here, you can order drinks, and then in the back is like where all the sex is happening. But you
Mm.
can just enjoy a drink if you want. So I was nervous, sat down, got a strong ass drink at first because I was like, I've never done this before. I don't know
Yeah.
what to expect. I'm really
Calm the nerves.
nervous. What do I do? So I got a drink, took a shot, finished my drink, and then I went into the back, and I just walked around a little bit and watched people, and immediately I felt a sense of comfort and safety
Yes.
because I was like, nobody is judging you. Everyone is just enjoying themselves. Everyone is, walking around and trying to find what they're looking for, or even just watching. And I saw some people just watching, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do that to start off with.
Mm.
And so I just sat in a corner. I just started watching. There was like some guys fucking next to me. One other guy was just jerking off. And I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna watch and jerk off. And so that was kind of the beginning stages of that moment of that night. And then it expanded from there. And I found people that I was like, oh, I'm attracted. Like I'm getting good vibes. This feels nice. I want to, try things with you. And so it went further from there, and I enjoyed a lot of pleasurable things, sex, and it's so funny because, as I mentioned, I'm in the beginning, kind of, I would say, in the beginning stages of this sexual exploration. So even sitting here
Mm,
just talking about this right now,
yeah.
pieces of my past of me being ashamed or afraid of people's judgment about talking about these things still sits in me a little bit. So
Mm.
I can feel
You
myself
feel
right
it coming
now,
up?
like I can feel myself like, oh, like, should I hold back? And I'm like, I'm in this place of like, no, fuck that. I'm not holding back. Like, this is
Yes.
who I am. I'm gonna talk
Yeah,
about it even when it feels uncomfortable.
that's
Because
right.
when you talk about these things, when you're honest with yourself and when you're real with yourself and you push through that discomfort, that's when you can get to the other side of accepting who you
Yes.
truly are and getting rid of the shame.
Yes. Imagine who you can be once you get through all of that. And you are clearly doing that. You're clearly doing that. And I'm going to push you to do it a little bit more. So you get to the sex club, right? What kind of
Mhm.
sex are you having? You fucking, you sucking? What are you doing? What's going on?
So I was in my top era. So
Okay.
I was topping. I was also scared because I'm like, okay, like I'm always very particular about when I bottom, and I
Yeah.
wanna feel like I'm ready, not only physically but mentally as well. Because for
Yes.
me, bottoming is an experience, and I'm like, I want it to be an experience for me and for the other person. And so in that space, I was like, it's my first time here. I've never done this before. I feel more safer and more in power if I'm the top.
Yes.
So I was topping the whole night. I actually love sucking dick, but I did not suck any dick in that club.
Okay.
I was just kind of like in this very top, you know, top mental space.
You were
And
giving
so
penetration tonight. I am penetrating. I am not being penetrated. Okay. Okay. Work. Work.
exactly. But it was great.
Yeah.
I consider myself verse. I feel sometimes like I'm more verse bottom. And that's also something that I've accepted about myself, because like for a long time I'm like, I'm verse, and then like people would ask me if I'm on the apps like, what are you? And I'd always feel like I need to say I'm verse top, because again, I think that lends into this idea that if we're a bottom, we are less than, we're less valuable. Tops are
Yes.
very related to or aligned with masculinity. And so I always felt like,
Yes.
oh, if I say that I'm a verse bottom, people are going to think I'm less masculine or I
Yeah.
hold less value. So I used to call myself a verse top, but I'm definitely a verse bottom. Like, I love getting fucked. But
Yeah.
in that moment, I was just like, I feel safer knowing that I can control the situation.
Yes.
I can I can see that I'm behind someone rather than who's behind me.
Yes.
So that's kind of why I was like in that top moment.
Yes, not to cut you off, but this is so important, especially for those that have never been to an environment like this, right? A sex club, a dark room, sex party, whatever it is. I'm going to bring you back a little bit. The first thing you said was you did some research, right? You looked into the rules of the place, you looked into the atmosphere, you read reviews, right? There are reviews everywhere. You can look on Yelp, you can look on Twitter, you can look on Reddit. Like, there's so many places to find out what's really going on, right? So do your research. Then you went there and didn't engage immediately, you observed, right? I think a lot of people are afraid to go to sex parties because they think that they have to engage immediately or someone's going to touch them and they have to start fucking. No, you can literally sit back, watch, jerk off, be a voyeur, get get an idea of what this party is giving. What is the energy around here, right?
Hmm.
What's going on? Like, what are people doing to each other? Do you want to do that too? If so, then you can engage. If
Yeah.
not, sit back, watch, or leave. That's it, right? And
Yeah.
then third, you decided to top that night. I would never tell anyone what sexual position to be in, but it is true that topping is a safer thing to do in these parties for your first time, right?
Yeah.
Until you're comfortable enough to bottom, because you are you're in a little bit more of control, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're just more in control. You can see everything that's going on, and yeah, so I really love this story, and I
Yeah.
hope that other folks can learn not to be afraid to go to these places too. Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I just want to add something onto that I
Mm-hmm.
discovered going into these spaces. A lot of the times, what I thought was happening in these spaces, that it was a free for all. If somebody wanted to touch you, if somebody wanted you,
Yes.
that they could do that. What I
Yes.
found is that consent in these spaces is actually really big.
Yes.
Of course, it's
It's
not perfect, but
real.
I would say that if someone reaches for you and touches you and you do this, 99% of the time they're going to listen to you and they're going to back off. They might
Yes.
still stay and watch or whatever the case may be, but
Yeah.
like in my experience when I was there, if I told somebody I was not interested, immediately they would either walk off or they would respect that choice. And I thought that was such a powerful thing to witness, because
Yeah.
I think like in our community, consent is still a big conversation that we're not having enough in regards to how we approach people, especially in clubs and different environments, not even just sex clubs, but also in clubs,
Regular
bars,
environments.
it's
Yeah.
regular environments
Yeah.
where we'll touch each other, we'll grab each other's ass, things like that. And it's like that consent is a big conversation we need to continue to have. But the other piece of that I wanted to add on really quickly was the lack of judgment in these spaces that I experienced was like, it was like almost not even there. Like I felt it's so funny because at some point I felt like it was a sense of community because somebody was getting fucked next to me and just like randomly was like, oh, hey, like, do you have lube? And I was
Absolutely.
like, no, I don't. I'm
Absolutely.
sorry. And they were like, oh, no worries. Thanks. And they just kept getting fucked. And
Getting
I'm
fucked,
like,
yep.
that's kind of cool because it's like,
very community based. Yes.
right. Like,
yeah.
so it was just an interesting experience and really opened me up.
Ha!
It really opened
night.
my eyes. Right, exactly. Not that night. But usually, it really opened up my eyes to what happens in these spaces. And I feel like a lot of people have misconceptions about what goes on there and what it's really like.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. It is a community space. All of a sudden, everybody in there is your friend because you need things, right? And we're in such vulnerable spaces, like positions, right? Literally, like, and emotional spaces, right? Like, people are in there making love. Like, they don't know it, but they are.
That is a fact because
Like, they are.
for some people, sex can be super intimate. And if you find somebody that you're really attracted to, really connected, maybe that's the first time you're meeting and having sex. However, we've had those instances. Many of us have had instances of one night stands turning into something more long term, or even just having a connection so strong in that one night where you're like looking dead into somebody's eyes and you're like, oh my God, like I think I love you in this moment. Maybe not tomorrow, but like right now. I kind of feel like a spark, and that's real. That's real, you know? So I absolutely agree with what you're saying there.
Yeah. And you said something else really important to me, which is like loving someone in the moment, right? Just because you're just having these little hookups, at least this is how I think I should go about sex. Like when I'm having sex with someone, brand new, old, this or that, we are making love right now. Like I'm going to love you for this moment. Even if it's if I'm jerking your dick, I'm going to love it.
Yes.
I'm going to love it. And I want you to love me for this minute. And then you can come and forget all about me. But for right now, we in love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Second question is, what's the freakiest thing you've ever done?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I was kind of like before this, show, I was like, should I talk about this? Should I not talk about this? Because again, that fear of being judged, that fear of like me wanting to be respectable and people not judging me, whatever. So I was like, I don't know if I should talk about this, but again, I'm freeing myself from those chains of people's perceptions and judgments and things like that. So this actually happened in Barcelona as well, where I feel like I was on a freak tour there, but we went to another bar at some point during the trip and there was a bar with a dark room behind it. And that night I was feeling really like exploratory and I was like, oh, I was feeling really freaky. And so I went into this dark room and there wasn't a lot of people there, but there was like a good amount of people. All I wanted to do was suck dick. I was like, I just want to suck dick. So I found a corner, got on my knees, and I kind of just was like waiting for people to come to me. And that's exactly what was happening. I just pretty much was like having people come and sucking them off. And then, I mean, it wasn't everyone. Like you could kind of see, and I was like kind of choosy. Again, that consent is there. So if you push people away, they'll understand. But there was a lot of guys that I was really interested in. And I allowed myself to just experience that. And that was really freaky for me because I was like, let's be real, like what goes on in dark rooms, a lot of those people are strangers. And so it just feels a little bit like more freakier because you're like, I'm not really, instead of one person that you're meeting for a one night stand, you're like meeting like a group of people.
The bar. Yeah, the whole bar. Hello.
So that was really freaky for me. That was probably the freakiest thing I've ever done because it was like multiple guys in that one sitting.
Yeah.
And like I was a little afraid after because I was like, oh, like, did I make the right choice and things like that? But
you made the right choice.
I did for myself. Not only that is I think we also have to be honest about, I always talk to myself around the conversation around STDs and things like that. Because that's something that we absolutely should be having a conversation about sexual health. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I was a little bit nervous because I was like, what if this, what if that? And of course I always get tested and I got tested, right when I got home after that trip. And I don't know, don't ask me how, but I was perfectly, everything was negative. And I was like really surprised about that.
Yeah.
that shocked me, but I was also pleasantly surprised about it because I kind of
Yes.
was like, okay, I'm going to go in there with the expectation that there might be something that I've contracted. I hope not, but that's the reality of having sex. Even if you're having sex with one person that you just met or with, 5 or 10 people that you just met. And this is kind of going off sidetrack, so we'll get back on topic for just a
No,
moment, but I think this is why it's important to have these conversations because it doesn't matter if you have sex with one person or with 10 people, you can contract an STD with anyone, with one
yes.
person or with 10 people. I have a friend that, lost his virginity to somebody and, contracted an STD in his first time having sex, and
Yeah.
that's not my story to tell, so maybe it's not the right time to bring that up, but I just want to use that as an
Yeah.
example of saying like you can, have sex with one person one night and contract something. So sexual health is super important to me. I'm always thinking about that, always asking questions, except for that night. Of course, in a dark room, it's harder to ask, like, are you this? Are you that? Are you on PrEP?
Yeah.
When was the last time you've been tested? So it's a little bit more difficult in those spaces. But usually if I'm with other people in a space where I can ask those things, then I do. If not, I always take it upon myself to always, get tested after, etc.
That's right. Yeah. You bring up such great points. The sexual health piece is so important, right? And I think I used to be very scared of contracting STIs, STDs when I went to these spaces. And then I would get tested, regularly, still do, and find that I normally didn't contract things. And I was wondering what was like, why is that? Now, I'm on PrEP, I use DoxyPep, I use methods or whatever. But even still, a theory I have is that, and I know this from my friends, my slut friends are so like conscious when it comes to our sexual health, right?
Yes.
So like if I'm in a room full of sluts, like we're probably all getting tested the next day. Like we're up on it, right? So I feel comfortable, not in all, but I feel comfortable in a lot of these slutty communities because
Yeah.
I know that people are taking care of their own sexual health.
Hmm.
And that brings me to the next thing, taking care of your own sexual health. When you're going out into these places, folks are like, okay, I don't know what people have. I don't know. You can't always ask the questions that you want to ask. But if you're taking care of your own sexual health, you normally don't have to, because if you are, say not living with HIV and on PrEP and taking DoxyPep, you are not going to transmit HIV.
Hmm.
You are most likely not going to contract an STI. If you're living with HIV and you're taking your medication and you're undetectable, you
Yeah.
cannot transmit HIV, right? And then
Hmm.
you're on DoxyPep, so you're not transmitting, contracting STIs. If everybody's
Exactly.
on their medication doing what they have to do, we're
Hmm.
good, right?
Yeah.
But if nobody is and just you are,
Hmm.
then you're good. So
Yeah.
I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think that's something to think about.
100%. That's why it's so
Yeah.
important to have these conversations and to normalize these conversations,
Yes.
normalize conversations around STIs, STDs, HIV. That's how we get rid of the stigma around these conversations about STDs and STIs, etc. We have to talk about it and we have to be honest because I feel like we see so many conversations online about people doing things like this, going into dark rooms, going to sex clubs or sex parties, etc. And then the conversation always like, oh, they're hoes, they're for the street, they're dirty, etc., etc. And it's like that's not the case. One and two. The other side of that is that, again, even if you're not attending these spaces, you are still putting yourself at risk of any STI or STD, even if you're having sex with one person
Yeah.
because you're having sex. You know what I'm saying? So one thing that's so funny to me is that I had a partner in the past, an ex who was like, oh, what did we were talking about STDs or something like that. I think I was talking about open relationships and stuff like that.
Mm.
And he was like, well, I'm concerned about getting an STI or STD. I've never had one. And I was very honest and I'm like, I've been having sex for a long time, gotten an STI before and I've gotten treatment for it and etc. Very normal thing. But he said, well, I've never had one. And I'm like, okay, but you're always putting yourself at risk when you're having sex with people. And he's like, well, no, because I know who I'm having sex with. And I'm like,
Ta.
that doesn't matter because that you don't know that person is being really honest with you
Right.
about what they're doing.
Or that they even know.
Right.
Most
Or
people
that they
don't know
even
when
know.
they have stuff. Most people don't
Exactly.
know. So like they
Right.
could be honest and not know.
Right.
Continue.
Exactly that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be either, yeah, they're being honest, but they might not know. Or you might think that they are telling you the truth. However, they might not be telling you the whole story. You might be having sex with one person, every 6 months, but
Right.
they might be having sex with 20 people every
Right.
3 months, but they might not be telling you the whole story. So you can't go
Right.
based off of what another person is telling you. You have to take care of your own sexual health and be aware of that and have those conversations and be honest about
That's right. That's
it.
right. Yes, very good. Okay. What is your sexual fantasy?
Oh, sexual fantasy. Well, I think I have.
Oh,
There's a few that I guess I think about often.
okay.
I would love to be the only bottom in a room full of tops.
Okay.
I think that's something that I very much would like to experience at one point. I think,
Yes.
I sometimes I watch it in porn and I'm like, oh, that person must feel so special,
So
right? Because
special.
they're the center of
So
attention.
special. Yes.
So it's something that I'm always like, oh yeah, I would love to experience that. And
Okay.
not only, so there's two parts of that. There's one where I'm the bottom and I'm getting penetrated, but also just for like oral sex. Again, I mentioned I think earlier that
Aha.
I really love sucking dick. I really love giving head. And so
Yeah.
just being in a space where there's, in not in a dark room. I know I talked about my experience in Barcelona, but in a space where it's like in that I can see everyone and it's like organized and
Yes.
so being in the
And it's
middle and
all
just
for
like,
you.
and it's all for me.
Yeah. It's all for you. You deserve it. You deserve it. I hope you get that. Also, pro tip for those that like to suck dick in dark rooms. My husband does this thing where he literally wears knee pads to the club if he knows that there's going to be a dark room. He always wears knee pads and it signals my husband loves sucking dick. It signals to the room, I'm here to get on my knees.
Hmm.
And it is a very comfortable thing to do because
Yes.
them floors get rough.
Well,
Okay.
I love the advice, and
Yeah.
I love your husband also, by the way. So
Yeah.
shout out to him.
Yes, yes, he's great. I know he loves you too. Okay, so how would you define sexual liberation?
Sexual liberation. It's interesting that you asked that because I actually was making a video today. So just a
Mm,
quick a shameless plug is I'm creating a
please.
Patreon. And in my Patreon, I'm taking people along my nudism journey. And it's the
Mm,
first time that I'm going to be nude on camera. And so I talked about in this video, I talked about what liberation looks like for me. And for me, it looks like freeing yourselves from the expectations, from the opinions and judgments and perceptions of society. So much has been put onto us about how we should show up in the world. And I think there's an added layer of being Black gay men and how we are expected to show up and how people perceive us and how even our own community expects us to show up because we have to be this representation because being Black gay men, they, just all of those layers on top of that. And so for me, it's liberating myself from all of those perceptions, those opinions, those judgments, and really rooting myself in who I want to be and who I perceive myself to be. And so that for me is liberation and freeing
mm,
myself from the chains of those judgments.
yeah,
Hmm.
beautiful thing. And I'm assuming that nudism helped you get there, or I guess the two are definitely working hand in hand. Yeah, talk about your nudism journey
Yeah,
and the Patreon. Plug
100%.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you. My nudism journey also is pretty recently new, and it's was sparked by my partner who I've been in a relationship now for 9 months. And upon
congratulations.
meeting him, thank you. And it's been so amazing and so beautiful. And it's also been a challenge because being with the whole nudism thing and being talking about like non-monogamy and sexual exploration and all of these things, it's a scary thing to do in a relationship with someone because you're
Hmm.
scared that the person is not going to agree with you, and that's okay also if they don't want that. If it's not working out, that happens. And that's okay. It's
Yeah,
working out in this moment for me, which I'm so grateful for. But
yeah.
he told me all about his journey and how he founded nudity and nudism, and he practices nude yoga, teaches nude yoga. And
Okay.
so I was like, this is really interesting. I want to learn more about it, but I was scared. I was scared to be naked in front of people. I was scared to embrace that and try that because of all the fear I had about my own body and what it looked like in spaces where I was not having sex. Because my
Mm,
perception of nudism was always, oh, if I'm nude, I should be having sex. And that's not what nudism or naturism is about. It's just about you being free and being without clothes and being to be able to express yourself and be fully
yes.
in your body. and love your body for what it is, right? And so upon meeting my partner in the first few weeks that I met him, I went to one of his nude yoga classes. And I gotta say, I went kind of because I wanted to see what nudism was about, but also because I wanted him to like me.
I think that's fine.
So, right. So I was like, I want to
Yep.
try out I want
Yeah.
to know what you love. I want to discover what makes you happy, what makes you tick,
Yes.
what you're passionate about. And if one of those things is it, I want to put myself in there to experience it from your lens and what that feels
Yes.
like and what that looks like. So that's
Yes.
why I went. And
Not to
ahead.
cut you off, but there's such a lesson here, right? If you want to impress a man, if you want to impress anyone, right, and they're teaching something, leading something, go to that group.
Absolutely.
Go into their world and go see them. Show up for them.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. That's going to show them that you're really interested in them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
and you
saying?
really get a sense of who they are. Yeah, go ahead.
100%. So I was in that environment. I took his class and I've had so many emotions. I was nervous, I was scared, I was anxious, but I was excited and I felt empowered and I felt liberated in that moment. I felt uncomfortable. It was all of these different mix of emotions. But when I left there, even though I felt so like confused about my experience, I was like, I want to do that again because it brought me to a place where I had to question why I was feeling this way. And when something brings me to a place where I have to question it and there's a curiosity there, I want to further examine it because that's going to allow me to really get to a place of understanding where that fear, where that shame is coming from. And so that's what I did. I continued to explore this with him. He took me to a nude beach, which I did not get nude at because I was absolutely terrified because it was a more open space. It was like, this is not a contained space. It just felt more unsafe for me. But we then went to a nude spa and I actually got nude there. And in that nude spa, that was the first time that I actually allowed myself just to be naked and not worry about the size of my dick, if I was hard, if I was soft, if the hairiness of my body, do I have abs? Like at first going in there, I was like, do I have to worry about these things? And then I went in there and I just saw people relaxing, talking, and they were naked and just socializing. And I'm like, okay, let me just breathe and relax. Cause like, I feel like I'm putting all of these different like scenarios in my head of what is not happening. But also, even if it is happening, if somebody is judging me, that ain't got nothing to do with me.
Nothing to do with you.
It has nothing to do with me. I'm here to enjoy myself, enjoy my body, enjoy the other people around me. And so when I went into that space, it felt so great. And that kind of solidified the journey for me. I was like, I like doing this. I want to be naked more. Let's do more of this.
That's great. It reminds me. So recently, my husband and I went to Japan, and in Japan they have these things called onsens, like these big saunas, right? And long story short, we go to the onsen, and to go to the spa part, you have to get naked, right? So we're like preparing to get naked, and we start seeing kids, like little boys, running around naked, right?
Oh wow!
And look, I said, "Oh, I'm too American for this." I can't see no little boys running around naked around me. Like, I can't have that.
Yeah.
So we put our clothes on and we went to like another space. And I couldn't stop thinking about that experience because I was like, damn, it's so cool that those little boys felt so comfortable running around like that. And the adults didn't think anything up. Like, it was so cool for their culture to just accept that and be okay with that. And I was like, damn, mine sucks. Like, like nudity is just like not a thing for this side of the world, and especially for kids. So yeah, I admire nudists and their ability to embrace their natural state in that way.
Yeah, 100%. I think absolutely here in the United States and in America and North America, whatever, nudism is not a thing at all. And I think it's very much closely related to or aligned with sex. And so people think if you're naked, that means you're trying to be sexual or you have to have sex or that's what you're trying to do, when that's not always the case. And a lot of like a high percentage of the time for nudists or naturists is they just want to be nude. They like to be nude. They want to be part of nature as we were born, etc. And I remember thinking back when I started doing the nudism thing. I used to be a flight attendant, back a few years ago, and I would go often to Europe. And so in places in Europe, nudism is very like normal. Like you could go to the beach and there'd be people just nude there and it'd be a public beach. And I always wondered, like, I never put so much thought into it, but I was like, why is it so accepted here and not a big deal to see titties or a dick on the beach? But in the US, it's like, oh my God, like what's going on?
Yeah.
and so it's definitely a big cultural thing. Yes, I kind of wish that I was raised a little bit more in the space of like accepting my body and being nude and sex positivity, but unfortunately that's not the culture that we grew up with, that I grew up with.
Yeah.
But I'm unlearning all of that, and I'm
Yes.
accepting and learning what's for me and what's making me happy and bringing me joy and liberating me.
That's right. That's right. Okay. How does it feel to have cum on your face? Well, this is a
How
hard
does it?
pivot.
Oh, yeah. We jump it. Well, we've been jumping into it, so
Yeah.
it is a hard pivot, but I'm not shocked by the question. I actually like the question. I love getting cum on my face. I love guys finishing on my face. It's one of my favorite things. It's like a fetish of mine. I think
Okay.
it's so sexy just to kind of like be on my knees and like looking up, and I am the reason why you are, orgasming the way that you
Yeah.
are. And so it's a very sexy thing for me to witness, and it turns me on a lot.
Okay. And so there's a couple of debates about sloppy head versus clean head. What type of head are you giving?
I'm giving sloppy head.
Sloppy. Okay. Are we making
Sloppy all the way.
sounds? Are you crying? Like what's happening?
I don't know that I cry that much. I think if it's a really big dick and I'm like gagging on it, then tears will come out.
Mm.
But I am definitely moaning. I love to moan. I love to use two
Mm.
hands, no hands, one hand. I love when the spit comes out. I'll use the spit to just, continue on giving that sloppy head. So that's definitely a thing for me. And I love that you mentioned that there's a kind of like this. What did you say? There's a debate around sloppy and clean head.
Yeah.
And I never really knew that until one time I actually, a few years ago, I gave head to this guy, and it was sloppy head. And towards the end of it, he was like a little bit upset because it was
He's
like
upset.
sloppy. And I was like, oh, like, what's wrong? He's like, oh, I just don't like all of the spit. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, one, you should have said that because I would have like been a little bit more careful, or I would have just been like, maybe this isn't the right fit. Like,
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
not for
not going to
me.
enjoy that and I'm not
Yeah.
going to enjoy it, maybe we shouldn't have sex. And I think that's why
Yes.
it's important for people to vocalize the things that they like to do. And this is something that
Yes.
we don't do enough. We don't talk about the type of sex that we like to have.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm learning too. And I like to talk about this with people that I'm going to have sex with in the moments that I can, right? And I'm like, I like doing this. I like doing that. Like, are you opposed to this? Are you opposed to that? Because if
Mm.
it's something that I'm not willing to sacrifice in terms of my own pleasure, then we probably can't have sex, because I don't want to sacrifice my own pleasure just because it's not something that you don't like. You know what I'm saying? If we can
Yes.
find a common ground, that's perfect.
Yeah.
But I don't want either of us to sacrifice something that brings us pleasure just for the sake of having sex with each other. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so silly. But in that moment, that guy didn't express anything to me. So, and I guess, I did at that time, I wasn't so expressive and so understanding of how to communicate either when having sex. And so I guess it's both of our faults that we didn't
Mm.
express what we liked. But yeah, when he said that, I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I thought I was doing a good job.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right in that. I don't know, it's like cuz you want to be able to tell your partner like, "Hey," or whoever you're with, "Hey, this is what I like, this is what I don't." But like that could be all day, right? So, I think if you start giving head and it's sloppy head and the guy doesn't like it, he should speak up during that head, right? Or if he's giving you this, clean pretty head and you're not doing enough and he wants you to do more, he should say do more, right? I think
Yeah.
it's like sex should be a conversation. We should be continuously
Yes.
talking during this
100%.
process, checking in. Is this good? Is this bad? What's going on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, yeah, sorry, and not to interject.
No, go
I
ahead.
wanted to say how, like, on that topic of conversation, the communication around sex should happen before and during, and there can also be an
Absolutely.
after conversation, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, a lot of times, maybe that doesn't happen if with one night stands. I think especially in the gay community, we're so used to on the apps, okay, I'm coming over, we're gonna fuck, and then I leave. Sometimes you don't even know the name of the person that you're hooking up with, right? Which is kind of like, it can be detrimental in some sense, but anyways, that's a different conversation, because sometimes that's also okay if you're just going in
And leaving out.
and leaving out. That's also
Hmm.
fine. But
Yep.
I think so if you're not having that conversation after, okay, that's fine. But before and during is so important because
Yeah.
you don't want to waste your time. If you don't know what's going on and what's going to happen before going there, and that you're going to like certain things, or that you want to do certain things that the other person is not going to like, then you're going to waste your time. And also,
Yes.
things are going to happen during sex that you need to vocalize. What if you need
Yeah.
more lube? What if it's hurting? You need to vocalize these things. Like you said, what if the
Yeah.
head that you're getting is not good enough? What if it doesn't feel good enough? You want to vocalize that so that the person that's giving you the head can do better, or maybe you can help them. What do you
Yeah.
specifically like? Do you like them to tongue your uncut skin? Do you want them to pull it all the way back? Do you want them to use hands? Vocalize this. But I think our culture is very scared of talking about the things that they really like in sex, because again, even though we're having sex, a lot of the sex that we're having is shamed, or a lot of the
That's
sex
right.
that we want to have is shamed. And so
Yeah.
you think about the fetishes and the kinks, and people don't want to vocalize these things because they're scared of what the other person is going to think about them in that moment or after, right? And so we do not allow ourselves to have the type of sex that we really want to have because we're not vocalizing that we actually really like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah.
it sucks because you could be having fucking amazing sex, but
Feels
you
so
are not
good.
allowing yourself to do that because you're too scared to actually either one, accept that you like that, and or to actually vocalize that to the partners that you're having sex with.
That's right. That's right. Now, you mentioned kinks and fetishes. Is there one that you are a little bit afraid to try, but are curious about?
I guess I'm curious about and afraid to try public sex. And for me, because this is how I feel about public sex. I don't think that it should happen in a space where there's people vulnerable to witness that and be traumatized by whatever's going on. Especially, I know like a few years ago when I was on Twitter, there was people making content in playgrounds or when kids are
Okay.
around, and
Just not to cut you off, but I just want to
Yeah.
clarify. So when you say public sex, you mean like you just said, like in not in a dark room public, but like
right
in
outside.
playgrounds, restaurants, drive-throughs. Continue. Okay. Yes.
Well,
Okay.
my thought is all of that stuff, I think I would be too scared to do, and I'm not sure if I would be okay with that. But like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking like in the woods or like in a park that's empty.
Yeah.
That's where I'm thinking. But the whole like restaurant drive-through, like
Come on.
that stuff for
Come
me
on.
is just like, I think there needs to be a line there, and you have to respect that other people are not consenting to witness that.
Yeah.
And so I think there needs to be a level of maturity and understanding on about how you're affecting other people. So I think that
Yes.
if you can find a space that is out of public eye
Yes.
and you're not putting someone in harm's way, then I think that there's
Yes.
an opportunity for you to experience that. Because also, let's be real, public sex is a part of gay culture.
Yes.
Being
Cruising. Yes.
gay, having gay sex was illegal. We had to go to the bathrooms and the parks to have sex
You
with each
couldn't
other.
just
So this
do
is
it at the
something,
house.
yeah, this is something that was and is embedded into our culture. So I think it's an
Yes.
important thing to acknowledge and not to take away from the culture, because it's how we also resisted against the government telling us that we couldn't be who we were. So
That's right.
I definitely don't want to talk against public sex. I think it's important, though, as I mentioned before, to be very aware of where you're doing this.
Yes.
So to go back to your question, I would think that I'm like curious about having sex in like a park that is like empty or in the woods, something like that. But again, I'm a little bit nervous about that because there's consequences to that too if you get caught, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a little bit. I'm curious about that, but I don't know that I'll do that.
Yeah, I think you have the right idea about it, right? You said something very important. It is a public space in a private area, right? So like the woods, right? Ain't nobody in the woods, right?
No.
So maybe it's okay to fuck there, right? Or like places that are known for cruising, right? Established
Yes.
queer spaces. Get on
Right.
Sniffies. They're right there, right? The park over there, this thing over there, right? Maybe not playgrounds.
Yeah.
Maybe stay away from kids. I don't care
Yeah.
if it's midnight.
Yeah. It just
Little Jimmy doesn't need to see you come on the slide the next day. Okay?
exactly like that for me is like crazy because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, there's like the kids are not around, but it's like
They will
but
be.
they will be. This is literally built for children.
This
So
is
I
for
don't
children.
get like why you think that it would be okay for you to continue to do this. Like
Yeah.
that, so that's where I draw the line, and I disagree with a lot of people's points around, well, there's no one there. That that doesn't matter because it's a space for children. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Very good. Now, we're coming to the end, but I have to ask you quickly about your Realness with a Twist journey because this is the show's called Butch Queen After Dark. I am normally the Butch Queen, but you are an actual original Butch Queen, of which I call folks that actually walk balls or have walked balls in the past, right? You are a Butch Queen. So tell me about that journey.
Yeah, I love being a butch queen. I love
Yeah.
it. There was a time, there was a time where I really was scared to embrace my femininity. And I
Mm,
flip-flopped a lot. Like there was when I was younger, I was a little bit more feminine, and then as I got older and I got more into the gay scene and I watched other gay black men and I see all of the conversations around how people believe that black men are being feminized or whatever. And
mm,
so I felt this fear and I was like, oh, I need to be more masculine. And so there was a time where I was like only trying to be masculine. And then finding ballroom was so important for me because I'm a dancer at heart. I used to dance. I professionally danced at one point in my life.
mm.
So when I found voguing, that was like, I want to do this. And it requires me to be feminine.
Yeah.
I really just like embraced that. And I said, well, I can be both masculine and feminine. I can be a butch queen. And I love being a butch queen. I love embracing my masculinity. I love embracing my femininity. I love voguing. I love feeling like a femme queen.
Yeah.
Sometimes I, tuck my hair behind my ear,
As
like
you
without
should.
even thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
ballroom. Yeah, it's so funny. Ballroom really allowed me to express parts of myself that I was trying to hide because I was scared of how society was judging me. And so
Mm,
being a part of ballroom was a part of my liberation, was a part of this journey of me becoming who I am today, very sex positive, nudist, more feminine, more embracing of my body, all of these things, embracing my femininity, embracing my identity as a butch queen has really allowed me again to feel more liberated and
mm,
break away these chains that again society has put onto us. Like we are so trapped and I hate it.
mm.
I want people, and I'm not saying people need to be feminine or masculine or a butch queen
It's
or
not it.
sex positive or nudist or fucking darkrooms. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you need to find you. You need to get to the root of who you are and embrace that person and say, fuck society. This is who I really am. This is who I want to be. And I'm not going to allow society to put their perceptions, opinions, judgments onto me and trap me in this box that I have been living in my whole entire life. Like I want people to break free from that.
Yeah. Whew. That is a word. And with that, I ain't got no more questions. I think you've answered everything. I honestly wish we had more time because I could actually come up with 3,000 more questions for you. You are so insightful, so
Thank you.
knowledgeable, and really, really good about sexual conversations. Please keep having them. Thank you
Yeah.
for having them. And yeah, this will be out, I think, February. Do you want to plug your socials and anything coming up for you?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be on the show. I really appreciate it. And it's so aligned with what I'm doing in my life right now in terms of my sexual journey. So, a perfect conversation to get me out of my comfort zone and push me
Good.
towards the person that I want to be. So,
Yeah.
thank you for that. My socials are you can find me everywhere at Joshua Michael Cruz, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Those are the three that I'm mostly on. I'm starting a Patreon very soon. And it's going to be at Where the Soul Grows, and you'll hear about more about that. I'm going to be detailing my nudism journey, so you'll be able to see me nude and what that is like for me and what that experience is like for me. But also, there are going to be other stuff. I'm doing YouTube videos, and I'm also starting my own podcast, so there'll be behind the
Yes.
scenes things for that. You'll get special announcements, or you'll be able to view or listen to podcasts and vlogs before everybody else. So a lot of great things coming. And also last thing, I am putting together workshops this year to embrace body positivity and body love, incorporating nude yoga and workshops around discovering more about our bodies and loving them more. So stay tuned for that. Anybody who's watching, follow me. I'm really excited for what's to come. And Brandyn, absolutely, please bring me back here.
Oh, yeah.
I
You
would
coming back.
love to join again.
Absolutely. You'll be back. Make sure y'all check him out and everything that's going on. We love you and see you next time. Peace.